Welcome to the Force Dyad Podcast, a Star Wars-centric podcast which aims to connect us fans to our fandom. Each episode, we discuss recent shows, movies, and what's new in books, comics, and gaming. We share our favorite theories and touch on our collectible hobbies, all in an effort to connect the galaxy far, far away to our own. And welcome to the episode 9 of the Force Dyad podcast. It's Jedi-John here with Obi-Sean.
Hello there.
As always, we're going to break down the Devil's Deal, Bad Batch episode 11, and then Bad Batch episode 12, Rescue on Ryloth. Really excited about that. We've also got a little bit of toy news because we both have some exciting stuff in our collector's fields that we're excited about. And then on top of that, you know, we got some new toys also that just came in for the Black Series figures. We will recap the weekends and much, much more. So let's get right to it. We're gonna plug the socials real fast here.
Yeah. We'll do social talk real quick. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. On Twitter, we're at Force Diet Pod, and then on Instagram and Facebook, we're at Force Diet Podcast. And so, you know, look us up on your social media platform of choice. Typically pretty active on Twitter, although recently, last week, not so much.
What was your birthday week?
I was busy the back half of last week. So yeah, not a whole lot of posting, but yeah.
Yeah, it won't be your worst follow, though. We have a good time on there.
Yes. I post, I post fun tidbits. I try and do them a few times a week. More frequently if I'm able to, if work isn't completely swamping me like it is currently. So, but yeah, we have a good time over there.
Yeah, good time on Twitter. Building the other socials also, so hit us up wherever you can. And as always, we want to plug our sister podcast over there at the Galactic Dads. If you have other fandoms that you are interested in, Marvel, DC, comics, and basically anything else that tickles your fancy on TV, they cover it along with some dad life and beyond. So go check out Galactic Dads at all of your podcast needs. Like, basically, they're everywhere, right? Mm-hmm. Everywhere you get your podcast at.
Pretty much, and all the socials are at Galactic Dads, so check them out.
Yes, they are. Yep. Even on the Untapped app.
That's right.
There you go. If you're interested in drinking some beer with them, they are always active there. All right. So we're going to hop right in. Our weekends.
Yeah, before we get started on our recaps, we're gonna recap our weekends.
I'm really excited about the recaps this week, but our weekends.
We had fun weekends.
We did.
So why don't you go first?
Ooh, so I got to explore the Lake of the Ozarks a little bit this weekend. It was kind of nice. The 6-month-old got his first boat ride. Pretty cool.
Did he get sick at all? Boat sickness?
He passed out both times.
Well, that's good.
On the boat. He just was out immediately.
So you need to do is buy a boat, live on a lake, and then you'll always have your child go to sleep whenever you want.
Yeah, it's probably too expensive for the gas that I would have to use for that. But yes, I mean, it's not a bad idea. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, we had a great time. Spent the time with a lot of close friends that we've been friends with for a long time now. And yeah, I mean, it was really relaxing for me. Got to just chill and just have a good time.
And the weather cooperated.
The weather did cooperate. We got poured on Saturday night, but by that time we were already eating dinner, and it was kind of shutting it down for the night kind of thing, so it was good. But yeah, what about you? I know you celebrated
it was my birthday. It was my birthday on Friday. It was the 4th anniversary of me turning 30, so we'll just, you can do the math at home.
Can they?
I don't know. I'm 34.
There it is.
But yeah, it was an enjoyable weekend. I golf in what relative spare time I have, and so I got to go get some new grips for my clubs and get some new shoes. Very exciting stuff there. And then Mrs. Obi-Sean had planned a fun birthday evening with dinner, and then she surprised me with a night out at the casino, which I promptly managed to lose all the money that I was allotted. But fortunately, she had about a beginner's luck and won all of my losses back. So overall, broke even. Fun night at the casino. And then the rest of the weekend was pretty chill. Hung out with the little guy. And although he's not so little anymore, he's quickly growing into a hoss. He's like 35 pounds and 3 feet tall now, and he just turned 2 in March. So he is quickly becoming my equal in wrestling matches, and he's into hopping and jumping on couches and stuff like that. Fun weekend, fun birthday. Can't complain. So, and then I get to, in 2 weeks, as part of my birthday gifts, I get to go see Foo Fighters on August 2nd. So I am really, really looking forward to that.
Yeah, not a bad birthday.
Yeah. And then to cap it off, as we've mentioned before, we both bowl. We bowl together. And last night, crushed it.
We did all right.
We did all right.
I mean, it was a pretty good night.
Had the same total. Both bowled in 8-17.
Can't believe we did that.
4-game series. And I think we popped up. We'll probably end up in third position in our league. So,
yeah, should be good.
Jockeying for playoffs.
Yeah, going right into the playoff stretch, really. What, we got 3 weeks left?
3 weeks left. Playoffs are August 14th. So
yeah,
let's do it.
We got some good work to do. And some money to be made.
Yes.
So yeah, there it is, right there.
I mean, that's really the crux of it. Is there's some cash to be made on the back end.
Yes, and who doesn't like money? I mean, come on.
Money.
Good stuff. So like, good weekends, and now, guess what? We're a week behind.
We are a week behind, and that's okay.
That is okay. So for you guys at home listening, we are going to just cruise through the Devil's Deal recap as it's a week old, and we will focus most of our time on Rescue on Ryloth. But let's start on that episode 11, Devil's Deal. So the Disney Plus lovely screenshot as the seeds of rebellion foment. What a great word.
Foment?
Foment. On the outer...
Not ferment.
No, not ferment. It's foment.
Okay.
On an outer rim world, the Empire schemes to squash it. Now, if you guys have recalled some other Disney Plus descriptions of this show, they have been one-liners. I think one of them was 4 words. They really outdid themselves with some out.
They had to pay some of the writers.
Yeah, terrific vocabulary usage. Anyway, but you got D. Bradley Baker back as the Bad Batch. Michelle Lang as Omega. We did add some new faces to the Bad Batch series this week, and that was Robin Atkin Downs as Hera Syndulla, Fairlith Young as, I'm going to butcher it, Eleni Syndulla, Corey Burton, Gobi Guile, and Vanessa Marshall reprised her role as Hera Syndulla, Shelby Young as Link, Phil Lamar as Oren Frita, Vivi Nguyen as Serin, and then Noshir Dalal as Rampart back. And then Chop, a.k.a. Chopper, as himself. Dave Filoni. Must be, right?
Has to be. Or at least remnants of past recordings.
Yes. And I will add in D. Bradley Baker also voiced Captain Hauser. He's the very good-looking clone that we saw that episode.
He has all the hair gel in the galaxy. Apparently, the Empire has bought it all just for him.
Dude, he's got that.
He has the most prominent hairstyle I think I've ever seen of any clone.
Any clone, for sure. For sure. Yeah, he's got that high fade, like going to work. Good stuff, though. Honestly, this episode, we got to see what happens when a senator goes along with the Empire the whole way, versus in previous episode, we saw the senator say, you know what, this is wrong, and I'm going to tell everyone right now this is wrong. And Oren just basically just said the people follow Cham, and Rampart figured out how to work around that real fast during this episode. And they start really going after him. And we got to see Hera meet the Bad Batch along with Gobi Guile when they were
on a moon.
It was very much they were giving their weapons away to the Empire, and they even argued with Cham about it. Like, why are we doing this? We're just disarming ourselves.
Exactly.
And Cham took the very mature spot on that of everyone's tired of fighting.
We're no longer at war.
This is our way not to do this anymore. Not knowing the Empire was just pure
and
tyranny.
I mean, Hera is spying on the spice mines that the Empire is forcing the the inhabitants of Ryloth to work basically for slave labor, which Ryloth actually has a unfortunate history with. But yeah, that's actually the first instance we see Hera is her getting caught spying on the mines.
Yep,
So,
and you see Hauser bring her back in. Cham say, "Hey, if it's anyone else, it's really bad news. But this is the last time this can happen," kind of thing. And Cham was grateful, and then you immediately learn that Eleni and everyone else is in on it already. They already know what's going on, and she was just like, "Yeah, so tell me what you saw." And I'm like, "Oh goodness."
it's probably the first time Cham's been out of the loop as far as a rebellious sort of planning
Yeah,
is concerned.
because previously he was the planner.
He was the freedom fighter.
Yeah, from the Republic.
Exactly.
Well, no, from the Separatists.
Right.
Sorry.
Fighting back against.
Because the Republic showed up to help them,
Mm-hmm.
and so which is going to play a huge role down the line, and then even the next episode. So, but yeah, so. But instead of just giving into this, Gobi decides, you know what, I'm going to make a deal with some mercenaries that are going to deliver us weapons. So he made a deal with a Bad Batch, went to a moon, brought Hera along. Seems like a great idea to bring a child along for that.
Mm-hmm.
And picked up the weapons. It was cool to see Omega and Hera interact a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I just want to see your cruiser. Yeah, come on in. Let me show you around.
Well, and there's a level of maturity I feel like Omega displays starting in this episode. I feel like leading up to it, she's such, she has that kid sort of, the childlike mentality, and in this episode, it's the first glimpse into the fact that she seems to be maturing.
Yeah, kind of like the ownership piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, this is my ship too.
Yep.
Come on in.
Exactly.
It was good.
So they get back to the planet. They're tracked. Their ship is tracked. Yeah. And they're basically caught with their pants down.
Yes.
Or red-handed, if you will, with weapons. So they're being carted off in troop transport, whatever.
But Hera escapes.
Yep. Well, I thought Hera was in the troop transport when Cham and Alani broke them out.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because Hera was with Gobi and the other person, anyways. So Cham finds out that Hera has been taken by the Empire. They formulate a plan to break him out. They trap him in the canyon, pincer move style, and basically free Hera, Gobi, and I forget Link.
Link.
Yeah.
Link. Yeah.
And they're standing there, unaware that this has kind of been expected the whole time. This was all part of the grand scheme by Rampart and the Empire, and that is to inevitably frame Cham and Eleni for what ends up being the assassination of
Their senator.
Senator Ta.
Which is crazy.
It is.
When you saw him even talking about that, like on the screen, you're like, oh, shoot, look at that. It's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Sights are set. And then I know I mentioned the other night to you, like, I really thought it was going to go the other way. I didn't know that was the target. I thought they were going to kill Annie because, and well, we'll talk about this later, but in Rebels, we don't see or hear about her mother a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the first time we saw her on screen. Well, in real time. So yeah, I mean, it was
Well,
unexpected for me that that's the plan they made and the Empire made, and it made sense at the end of it.
Well, it makes sense because we talked about it in episode 7, I think it was, which the devil's deal is when you make a deal with the devil, you said it requires some sort of sacrifice. And the senator made a deal with the Empire, and what did it cost him?
Yeah, his life. Sorry.
Life.
Yep.
So, but basically that's where the episode wraps, with them being arrested for, well, we'll later find out is the attempted assassination of.
Yeah.
But yeah, that wraps up Devil's Deal. So as far as thoughts on the episode, it was fun to see Hera and Chop again.
Chopper.
And he's quickly turning into one of my favorite non-humanoid characters. I mean, don't get me wrong, R2 is a great astromech, but the amount of personality they give Chopper.
When you watch Chop in Rebels, you really appreciate him, and it's weird how much you can relate and just be like, yeah, that's my attitude too.
I mean,
towards
he's
that.
super sassy. He's, if you can give a droid a personality, without physically giving him a voice, that's Chopper. So it was good to see them both. And as far as the episode goes, it was kind of building towards. I mean, we didn't know we were going to go to Ryloth in this episode.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the episode names the other week, and obviously, well, Rescue on Ryloth. Oh, obviously, we know where we're going. We know who we probably will see, but this was kind of a surprise that we went there an episode early.
Exactly, and so you're building it up to set up the subsequent episode. So, as a story building episode, it was a solid 7.5 to 8 for me.
Yeah, I mean, it was 7.5. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, we got a little bit, nothing crazy as far as action goes, but good enough story plot happened. It was 7.5 to 8. Maybe a little bit above an 8 for me. I've been pretty gracious with my ratings for the show. I feel like I'm always high, so I mean, if I'm really downplaying it a little bit, yeah, 7.5 to 8. Nothing really happened. It was really setting up the next episode, especially after we've seen the next episodes. We know now what was coming, but IMDb had it at an 8 out of 10. That's pretty good for the series, really. I mean, it's middle of the road, nothing crazy.
For a filler episode, it was.
I mean, I don't even consider that just a filler though, because it really did move the plot along.
That's
it
true.
was just you needed it to see what was happening. So, yeah, I mean, it was pretty good. Nothing too insane. Honestly, a lot of people were giving it high praise just because it connected Rebels. And everybody loves when people connect with some of their favorite characters from other shows. And Hera was, I mean, that character.
She's a great character.
Yeah, fantastic in Rebels and fantastic here still. And we're going to talk about her more for the next episode right now. So, but yeah, let's just move on, I guess, to
roll right into episode 12.
Rescue on Ryloth. I would go down the list of voice actors again, but guess what?
It's almost identical.
It's identical, except I think they added in one of the elite squadrons. Ness Bautista is back as ES3 and Tina Huang as ES02. If you guys remember, ES01, guess what? Met his demise the first time they
at the hands of Crosshair.
Yeah. So, but yeah, ES02 and ES03 were voiced this episode, so they added. Oh, and ES04 almost Mr. Dahili Hall on that one. So all 4 of your leftover elite squad members were voiced this episode between Crosshair and 02 through 04. So good stuff there. Wow, this episode was packed.
It was a fun episode. I mean, for 25 minutes, it was a fun episode.
It was good. I mean, so we open up. Obviously, we've seen now that we know they were captured, and Rampart is trying to make a deal for Hera with Cham. Like, if you tell us where they're at, we'll go get her. No harm, no foul. Boy, is that the biggest crock I've ever heard in my life. And I think Cham understood what was happening. So he's like,
definitely a lie.
Yeah, you're totally not going to find out where my daughter is, you idiot. I have other words also there, but yeah, you idiot. And but we catch up to the Bad Batch, and Omega has given Hera how to reach them, their comm channel, and immediately Hunter goes back to the I told you, like, you gave her our comm channel? Why would you do that kind of thing? Just like the previous episode when I told you to lay low. This is not laying low. And Omega just said, well, I gave it to her for emergency. And obviously, it sounds like an emergency. And they get into a big argument. And it goes back to that previous episode again where, yeah, we found out that Omega is very tactical and understands strategy very well. And Hunter just lays it out to her like, yeah, part of being very tactical, it means understanding what you can handle.
What your limitations are.
Yeah, what the limitations are. And what a great lesson for a young person to learn.
In general,
yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, it totally relates to life as we both have children now. Like, both of our children, I mean, I know mine obviously is only 6 months old now, but like, yours is still testing every limitation he has.
Oh my God,
and
all of them.
he will continue to do that for the next few years. And I know mine will start to get to that point when he starts really crawling and walking and being mobile. It'll go at a flash, right? But what a great lesson for a young person to learn. Like, hey, I understand you understand a lot of this stuff, but guess what? You have to understand what you can and cannot do. And we cannot do this because we are not equipped for it. And boy, she laid right into the emotions real fast. And it was like, she's trying to save her family. I would do the same for you. Oh my gosh.
And the reaction of Hunter in that scene is just like it hit him, and you see him realize it in that instant what she just said, because she described them to Hera after Hunter tells her, yeah, the plan's no good, we can't do this. Hera asks Omega, why do you trust them? And she goes, they're my brothers. And it just ties into that family, that family unit that they've now become over, these 12 episodes.
I did see that hilarious, just like it was a meme for Filoni. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna bring a band of misfits in, and they're gonna become a family. And literally, it's like Rebels, like how they did it, and then Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna have this guy. He's gonna have a situation where he has to be in charge of and be responsible for it, and then I'm gonna bring these other people in. And oh yeah, they're gonna become a family, and then
I did not even
we're gonna come into the Bad Batch,
piece that together.
and there's gonna be misfits, and they're gonna have a responsibility. That
To be fair, they are all related.
They
in
are.
a sense.
In this-
so
in-
technically speaking, they are actually family.
It was just really funny because he was just like, yeah, we're gonna develop this one character a whole lot, but everyone else is going to become a family throughout the show. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this
I
is
didn't even think
hilarious.
about that.
This is all hilarious to me. But yeah. But yeah, you go back to all of his work, and it's all about family. But if you listen to Filoni ever talk, Star Wars is about family. So like, it's huge to him, and I agree with him, obviously, because how do you not? Have you watched Star Wars?
Well, the Skywalker saga is the ultimate family,
Oh yeah,
like story arc. you know?
Exactly. So anyway, to move on there. Sorry for that tangent.
Segue.
My bad. But yeah, so you get back into them deciding, like, you know what, we're going to use Hera's knowledge of a planet and see what we can do.
Well, Omega convinces her to help her come up with a strategy that they can sell to Hunter.
Yeah, which is, I know the planet better than anybody. Oh, well, maybe we can use that to our advantage. Okay, let's do it.
And this is the first time that you see Hunter trust Omega to do something on her own, right? Because he sends Omega and Hera off together to the refinery to sabotage the cannon.
That's much later, but yeah.
Well, that's the plan.
Well, that's later, after they go view what they're looking at. Because they had to go scout it first. So they went in to scout it, and then Hunter destroyed the Imperial probe droid. And then they realized that, oh shoot, the Empire's going to know we're here. What a great callback to Empire. When Han destroyed the probe droid, he's like, well, the Empire's going to know we're here now. So, and then they realize that, okay, they're going to know we're here. We find out Crosshair does, in fact, understand they're there. You cut to him and Rampart talking, because Crosshair knows exactly what his brothers are capable of. And Rampart's like, it's 4 people. We're okay. Don't worry about us. Thank you, Admiral Tarkin.
Right. It's a very similar underestimation of your enemy.
Yeah, and Crosshair obviously does not like that, but he gets tasked with going to go find Hera still, and Hauser was like, "I'll go find Hera," and that's a no-go.
Yep.
Sorry, stupid clone. And then we do see Hauser kind of flip on him a little bit. He goes down to the cells and is like, "Hey, tell me where Hera is. I'm trying to protect her also." Well, Cham ain't fallen for things twice. Sorry, you officially lost. You are outside of the circle. It's a circle.
Yeah, he broke the circle of trust.
Yeah, see you later, bud. So Hauser's disappointed in that, because he understands he betrayed people that not only trusted him, but he trusted also. So it was, you could see it in his face that he was hurt. Not that he didn't understand,
right?
But he was hurt.
And you see with Hauser too, when he questions Rampart
on what he's doing,
on what's going on, and how they're arresting basically damn near everybody on
And
the
that
planet for supporting Cham.
and not only that, but he questioned who shot at the senator. He's like, I was there.
Yeah.
It wasn't Cham.
And he's like, "Who did it?" And he's like,
Well,
I don't know." But you can see that he's not blindly following,
yeah.
you know, well, anything. It's very free thinking of him,
Yep.
which we'll talk a bit about later.
Yeah, we're gonna crush right into that, I think. But yeah, then we get the plan, right? And they send Omega and Hera off to the refinery to make a distraction so they can extract the prisoners from the capital city. And what do you know? Their plan didn't work exactly how they wanted it
Didn't
to.
go to plan.
What do you know? I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, they send Chop in to deactivate the central console, and along the way he stuns another astromech, and then gets caught, and they're like, "Well, what are we gonna do?" And Omega turns to Hera and says, "We're gonna use one of those," and she points to the ship and goes, "You always want to be a pilot, right?" So they go steal a ship.
Yeah, and we get to see Hera's first piloting expedition, so to speak, as they are clearing the way for Tech and Echo in the is it Tech and Wrecker?
It's
Tech and Wrecker.
Yes.
Tech and Wrecker in the Havoc Marauder to come in and not only destroy the rest of the cannons, but also start firing upon the refinery. It was really that scene, that whole montage of stuff. Just I loved it because you get to see Hera going through things, and they were like, "How are we doing so far?" And he's like, "Yes,
Tech's line
Yes.
is so funny when he's like, "Your erratic behavior is confusing them as much as it is us."
yeah, exactly." Because he's like trying to avoid them at the same time as he's firing on everything else.
That was,
and
so
it was
funny. That was again classic Tech deadpan humor.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
Yep, you don't know what you're doing, and neither do we. So
And neither do they.
keep it up.
They can't shoot you down if they have no idea what you're doing.
Exactly. So yeah, good time there, and then we go over to Hunter and Echo breaking out the prisoners. So Cham, Eleni,
Gobi's there.
Gobi's there. I think Link is there also. So they're all getting out, and they're about to leave. We see, as the viewer, Crosshair stop his soldiers from getting on the ship and say, "That's not their target." Like they're like, "But Rampart just told us to go." We're not going there. Sorry, guys. As you see every other ship just lift off out of the, I guess that would be just the main garden or the main entranceway of the city or the capital. And he realizes immediately, like, oh, they're diverting every resource we have away from here. We're going to stay here. And he places a platoon at the doors with riot shields and weapons ready to go. And he's taking his high post, ready to do his sniping.
Ready to snipe some people.
And Hauser stops him at the door and says, "Hey, guys, don't go that way. That's the wrong thing to do." And I really thought Hauser was going to take what the senator did from Raxus and just head with a Bad Batch to live to fight another day. I was really hoping they would. And instead, he was like, "No, I'm not leaving my men. I'm going to stay here because these are good men, and they will understand when I tell them what's going on." And, well,
some of them do.
Yeah.
I mean,
he opens the door.
The door opens and he's there, and he kind of gives this. Well, it's an impassioned speech, or a short little quip about how the war's over. Their mission was to defeat the Separatists, which they did, and that, in essence, they are there were there to protect the people of Ryloth, and that their new orders are doing the complete opposite of that. And so he asks who is going to, in essence, defect with him. And you see it almost immediately a handful of troopers lay down their arms. Now, many didn't, but it was actually more than I expected. I thought he was going to be a solo man in doing that.
I honestly thought Crosshair was going to kill.
I thought he was going to get popped.
I thought Crosshair was going to pop him before he even finished talking.
Yeah. So, but he didn't, and you get that quick scene where, again, there's something going on where, there's some level of free thinking occurring that wasn't there necessarily right after Order 66.
Yep.
And so while that's happening, Cham and Eleni, all of them,
Everybody sneak up to the senator's tower, basically, and take his private ship.
Use his shuttle to escape. And they end up flying back to the old base, where they unload everybody.
Switch shifts, all that good stuff. I mean, and we do get to learn a really cool tidbit for Rebels is Hera learns from Tech how to basically ghost her signal, which is, guess what she uses the entire series of Rebels on how to do.
How to scramble the ship's code.
Yep. And so
Cham and Eleni are about to pay Hunter for rescuing them, because one of Hera's things the whole time was, I can pay you, we can pay you double, etc., etc. And so they go to pay him, excuse me, and he says no, keep it. You need it more. You'll need it more than we do. And it's and we'll talk about it in a second, but it just kind of goes to show that they're not all about money. Not that maybe they ever were. It was just a way to get by, but there's a bit of altruism and self-sacrifice to help others, that they're displaying now. And Omega and Hera have one last goodbye, and everybody climbs aboard the ship, and that's where it ends.
And Hera says they'll see him again, so can't wait for that to happen. I'm sure there'll be another crossover at some point. So what would you rate the episode?
I would give it probably an 8.3, 8.4, something like that. Or let's just say 8 to 8.5. There was some really fun action. There was, again, I think some really good plot layouts for the plots for upcoming episodes.
Yep.
I think it also, as you mentioned, it mentions some stuff that we've seen in Rebels. I think there's something, and I can talk about it a little bit later, but a potential reference to a Legends event, which I realize isn't canon, but you can still reference it. So yeah, I would go like 8.3, right in between. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I like the 8.5 range. I thought it was really good. I thought I got a lot out of it as far as character development, along with we had to see a little bit of action. I mean, who doesn't like to see the Bad Batch blowing up stuff? I mean,
a lot of fun.
That's what we're here for. And we got to see Hera pilot for the first time. I think the big win for me was I got to see more of Hera and her backstory, and that's just cool for me because I was a huge fan of the Rebels series. And yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the episode. Overall, it was enjoyable. I mean, the previous episode was a little slower, but at the same time, it set up this. So I was okay with it after I saw what was coming. So, yeah, overall pretty good. IMDb scored it at an 8.2 right now.
Okay.
It's still early on, technically, for their ratings. Usually their ratings don't settle for at least a week afterwards, when everybody has a chance to watch it, obviously.
Right.
But I mean, some of the negative reviews on it, I mean, people are getting tired of people. The Bad Batch just stuns everybody. They're like, can we just have them kill people yet?
I mean, they did blow up the refinery. I'm pretty sure somebody was caught in the explosion.
Yeah, somebody unnamed. All right, we didn't know them, so it's a problem.
It was probably voiced by D. Bradley Baker.
I'm sure they were. But that's the big thing. I think that's the biggest probably criticism for the whole series so far is they're not killing people. Well, and they're like, and for me, I'm like, this is a kids show on Disney Plus.
And there's plenty of other killing that happens. It's just not by the main group. I've heard a lot of complaints about the number of cameos or fans, quote unquote, fan service that we're getting with the connections. And the thinking is that the story is not good enough to stand up on its own, so you got to throw in these characters that people have a vested interest in and love for. And the show takes place in a timeline where all of these people exist.
Yeah, we've seen all of them.
So it makes sense that if they go to a specific place, that those people would likely be there. Whether they interact with them or not, I guess that's a totally different thing, but it's more fun if they do. And it does allow, like you said, a backstory to be given for characters that we do love, and have seen countless times.
And granted, we were on Ryloth in the Clone Wars, and then we were on Ryloth
multiple
in
times.
Rebels,
Mm-hmm.
and now we're on Ryloth in Bad Batch. So I mean, it's not like this is a brand new place that, why would they go to that planet?
Exactly.
Oh, wait, we've been there.
And Ryloth is, because I did some research for one of the tidbits on Ryloth after Devil's Deal, and Ryloth has a central role in sort of the rebellion, not just from the Clone Wars, but all the way through and up to the rise of the First Order. Like, it has canonical importance throughout all of it.
Yeah.
And there's actually an attempt by Cham and his group a few years BBY on Ryloth where they trick or they divert the Emperor and Darth Vader to Ryloth in an attempt to assassinate them, and doesn't exactly go to plan, but that's how involved they were in that. They were actively trying to assassinate the Emperor during what would eventually become the Galactic Civil War. So
Yep.
So Ryloth is a very important planet in the Star Wars story.
Absolutely. And then on that episode, I know we just want to highlight a few things, and one of them I just realized goes kind of with our theory. So we'll save a little bit of Hauser for just the theories. But Omega and Hunter dynamic is growing every episode.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not just father-daughter type situation. It is really sibling and confidant, and the trust is there now. And it's been amazing to see her grow. I know we've joked about how she's just picking up
It's like the RPG.
the RPG player just picking up weapons and skills as they go and leveling up. And while we have seen that, and it's funny to joke about, but it is somebody, a young person growing into who they're going to be, and still learning lessons, and Hunter being there to not just correct, but also learn himself, like, they're trying to help, and this is why they're trying to help. So it's interesting.
And that's a testament to all of the writers on the show that, you have this length of time to explore these characters. Having 16 episodes allows you to do that building, do the filler episodes that build character, and it gets you to this point where you actually start to buy in and relate and eventually love the characters, and it's a testament to the writing team that they've done such a good job of creating these characters.
Yep. And then the next thing we want to touch on is just Rampart and Crosshair. I mean, as soon as Crosshair knew they were there, he's like, "You need to let me take them out." And he's like, "I need you to go find Hera Syndulla." And Crosshair's like, "You don't understand." And Rampart's just like, "Oh no, I do. There's 4 of them. We have a whole garrison. It's not enough."
Well, and then the episode ends with
Go find them.
with Crosshair requesting permission to go hunt them down.
Yeah.
And Rampart finally goes, "Yeah, that's probably
I underestimated your
probably
friends.
good use of your skills."
Yeah, I underestimated your friends. Yes, you can go hunt them, please. So I am really excited to go see Crosshair go all out after the Bad Batch. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. We'll talk about that in a second. And we can skip right into Crosshair's arc for their theories.
Yes.
So we'll move right into that. So Crosshair's arc, I'm still on the.
You're still in the camp.
He's going to go
be
hunt.
rescued.
I think that we saw him take a glimmer of hope when he was speaking to Rampart earlier in the episode, because he did not agree with the order. He executed the order, but he did not agree with it. And I think that it was the glimmer of hope that I was looking for of, okay, so he's not 100% sold on this Empire thing, but he's going to follow the order. But it's still Crosshair in there. He still knows what to do because he knows what's right to do, tactically, strategically, whatever else. So he disagreed with Rampart, and still followed the order. But he knew, and he wanted to argue.
He's making his own decisions.
Exactly.
And I think we kind of talked about it in past episodes. They amped up his chip initially to see if he would, follow orders and could become like super, super aggressive. And now I think he's making decisions willingly.
Again.
Yeah, he's back to making his own decisions.
But because even the episode we saw him directly defy Rampart's order to go to the refinery. Even his ES squadron was like, Rampart said, get to the refinery. And he's like, no.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
So he is definitely, I feel like, not only because of that, because he knows he needs to stop the Bad Batch, but at the same time, like, he still disobeyed an order.
So do you think him hunting down the Bad Batch he's not really hunting them down? Is that what you're hoping?
That's what my hope is. I hope that they come to a showdown situation and it doesn't happen. I have multiple theories on how this could go, but because my theory is that he's going to sacrifice himself, and that will be his redemption arc. Is that he will do something? He will be placed into a position where he will be forced to. I don't know if he'll be forced to take out one of the Bad Batch or Omega, and he will make the cognizant decision. He will make the free decision to, one, disobey it, and then two, put himself or leave, whether it's let them escape and then he takes the fall, or he puts himself in a dangerous situation that gets him killed and saves the others. I think that's how you redeem him, because he is he's really gone. Yeah, I mean, I still hope he's not, but yes, I understand he's gone, and I know he's done evil things.
Because he's making free thoughts at this point.
Yeah. Well, now, but yes.
I think he's been doing it for a while.
Here's the other thing. So, okay, big theory time for me, for Crosshair, right? I agree with you. I think he will be put in this position where he has to choose to either take out a member of the Bad Batch, or he ends up protecting the Bad Batch. Mm-hmm. And I think he's going to choose to protect them. And I think he's going to kill one of the bounty hunters that are chasing them. I think he is the end to Cad.
He kills Cad.
I think he's the end of Cad, because Cad will still be after them for Lama Su. So I think that we're going to catch up to them again. And I think that Cad's going to be at the point where he's on a rampage because he wants to get paid now. Mm-hmm. And he already lost the bounty once. So he's going to take care of business. And I think Crosshair is going to come upon that. That, or Crosshair will have him in their sights, and Cad might put an end to him anyway. It'd be pretty interesting. It'd be interesting.
Yeah, because we've got Infested and War Mantle are the next two episodes.
And I still think that we're going to see Boba. I think, because at this point we know that Fennec goes to work for Boba later. Mm-hmm. If Boba was Fennec's contact that she was meeting in the Mandalorian series, that means that she has previously known him. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking we're going to see that in the Bad Batch at some time, so I'm hoping it happens during the season. And it might not be this season. It could be a following season. I hope we get more.
Fingers crossed.
But I think that's how Crosshair does redeem himself. I agree with you. Like, I think he's going to get caught in between a choice of kill one of your brothers or kill the person trying to kill your brother. Mm-hmm. And I think he's going to choose the wrong battle.
But then he goes back to the Empire?
What if Crosshair what if he gets picked off by something else? Or what if one of his subordinates decides, we just saw you kill our guy. Mm-hmm.
Well, but the Empire doesn't know that the bounty hunters were hired by...
Right, they don't know who the bounty hunters are. Right.
I don't even know that they exist.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like, in hunting the Bad Batch, if the bounty hunters are there, Crosshair's going to see everything.
Right, yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking. We'll see what happens. I still think he can be redeemed a little bit, and I still hope he just slides back in.
I think he can get a heroic death out of this.
Yeah.
Give him that long arc, which it might be abrupt. That might be a quick, like, hey, I was a horse's ass for the entire season, half of it against my will, and then now all of a sudden I've redeemed myself. Yeah. So that might be quick, but
could happen.
That's how I think. That's. I don't think he gets saved per se.
That's fair.
I'm still not in the Crosshair gets saved camp.
All right.
Because not everything has a happy ending.
I still think you're wrong. I'm kidding. Well, I do think you're wrong, but I hope we fix it. Anyway,
Yeah.
next theory goes back to some of the stuff from that last episode. Just Hauser's chip and how it relates to him already defying the Empire's orders. So I had a theory on this, and my theory was that it's because Order 66 happened, and that no longer is controlling them specifically because time has passed. So that order, while it might be still an order, now he's realizing that it's not an enemy to the Empire. These are people that we swore to protect originally, so we know that these are not the Empire's enemies. They were the Separatist enemies. They're not enemies to the Empire right now. So I think that's where it breaks his... I guess the argument would be it breaks his just blind, I don't know, loyalty to them, because he realizes, like, no, these are my friends. Like, I fought next to these people for a long time. They're not the enemy. Versus in some other cases, they either weren't there for that long, so they're like, no, these people could still be the enemy, or something happens where they show that they're the enemy. But Hauser's already seen the Empire set up his friends for an assassination that he knows that they didn't commit. So I think it all kind of led to that, like, yeah, this is wrong.
Yeah, and I actually tweeted about it today, as far as whether or not there's a half-life on the effectiveness of the chip itself, or whether the chip actually ever initiated. Because it's possible. I mean, I don't believe there would have been Jedi on Ryloth at the time of that, because Mace and Anakin and Ahsoka and Obi-Wan, they all left after assisting them in taking... Now, there was a Republic blockade after they freed Ryloth initially from the Separatists.
But unlikely they would have left a Jedi there as it was a planet that they had won.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's possible that it never actually activated, but more likely is there's a half-life, so to speak, in its effectiveness, like you said. And it's clear not only from Devil's Deal, but certainly from Rescue on Ryloth, that Hauser is free thinking. He is making rational decisions based on past memories of working with the Syndullas for what could have been years. You know, the Clone Wars took 3 or 4 years. So it's, and again, we talked about it, that the immediate willingness of some of his troopers to do the same thing would again indicate that the chip is wearing off. So
they're wearing off, or they can still make reasonable thoughts if they're given the proper argument. And in this case, the proper argument was, we swore to protect these people. They didn't swear to protect Jedi or anything like that, but they made a partnership with these people during the war. So it's not like these could possibly be enemies, because we just fought with them in mere months ago.
Right.
It could have been weeks ago.
Exactly. They were to fight the Separatists. Their enemy was the Separatists. That was the war. They defeated them. The war was over. There is no incentive, or there's no directive to, aside from coming from Rampart, that they need to follow. So their mission, as far as they were concerned,
Is over.
Is done.
Yeah. Yep.
So, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with Hauser. Obviously, he got arrested.
I'm hoping they go back to rescue him, because I'd love Hauser on the Bad Batch more.
We haven't really gotten to see his fighting style or anything like that.
It's just because he's a dreamboat, all right? You gotta have him.
I wish I had his hair.
Oh, I wish I had his hair.
But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they do with that, and it leads perfectly into War Mantle, as it is the replacement of the clones eventually as the primary fighting force, because, as Rampart said earlier,
now they have more proof
that the clones can't really be controlled. And just to touch briefly on the Legends thing that I alluded to. So there is a Legends instance of a clone rebellion on Camino, that the Kaminoans actually bred clones that would defy and fight back against the Empire. And Boba is actually sent to squash the rebellion in Legends. Now, again, Legends, and I can totally understand, but it's just interesting because in a way it's a small snippet of a clone rebellion, and coming from a ranking clone. I mean, he's a captain, so having your your CEO be like, yeah, we don't need to be following, these guys, these orders. These aren't what we should be following, and having subordinate troopers follow that without real question goes to show what level of trust the higher ranking clones have over the newer recruits.
And to finish up our theory section tonight, we're just going to touch on the Bad Batch motives at this point. We've seen them now grow from fleeing to working as mercenaries to now, well, they worked for free last episode. So to do the right thing.
Because it was the right thing to do.
So I'm curious to see what their arc continues to evolve to, because really, I mean, now they're doing things because they believe it's the right thing to do against the Empire and the right thing to do for people in trouble. And if they continue down this path, well, where else were they going to go other than the rebellion? Mm-hmm. Because there's not, I mean, we didn't see Sid the last couple episodes, and I understand why. I'm thinking they're still going to reconnect a little bit with her.
Well, Sid was indirectly referenced in Devil's Deal because that's who Gobi, I think, contacted.
Contacted for the weapons deal.
And Sid sent the Bad Batch for the weapons deal.
Because that's an easy deal.
Yeah.
Simple.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're just delivering weapons. Have fun. So, yeah, I mean, but yeah, I don't know. I'd like to say I can predict where it's going to go. I don't know. I mean, all of a sudden they're working for free. What planet do they go to next? Are they still hiding like out at Sid's, or what their situation is? So I think it'll just be really interesting to see how they move on and continue to grow, and how Omega steers the wants of the group, because this episode 100% was steered by Omega. Mm-hmm. And on what she believed was right, she convinced Hunter that it was the right thing to do. So Hunter gave the order.
It was the first instance, like we said, that Omega was given the full trust as a member of the Bad Batch. And to add to your thoughts as far as doing things because it's the right thing to do, it goes back to what Ahsoka told the Martez sisters on when you see people who need your help, you help them. That's a loose, indirect quote, but it's the exact same thing here, where Hera needed help. Omega was like, it's the right thing to do, and obviously they were able to convince the rest of them. But it does kind of cascade into the belief that they will, even perhaps by the end of the episode, join the rebellion, because they are now seeing at multiple points what the Empire is doing, and that what they're doing to free people is wrong, and that they're just openly imposing their will and that sort of stuff. And I think that's why they did this for free, because I think they're finally choosing sides. And again, as it was kind of laid out back in the Martez episode, is eventually you pick sides. And I think we're finally seeing, they helped a separatist senator because it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Technically, they were told to do that.
Listen, the enemy of my enemy
is my friend.
And at this point, the Empire is already making lots of enemies.
Exactly.
So.
And I mean, yeah. So as far as their motives go, I think it's still to figure out. One, obviously to survive, but I wonder too if they're still trying to figure out why. I mean, they I guess they now know why Omega is sought after by the Kaminoans. The question is, do they ever confront that? Do they ever?
Yeah, I mean, I said it a while ago. I don't think they're ever going to go back to Camino unless it is something that they have to
There's
go.
some reason to.
Like literally, the only thing I can think of right now is if they're saving Omega. That's the only reason I can see them going back to Camino. So we'll see if we get that.
Yeah.
But
I'm excited to see if they do more, missions. Just because, stuff like this where they're smashing and grabbing. I'm all in for more of that.
we enjoy that. All right. Well, this will take us to our next segment of the show, our oldest friend.
He's one of my oldest friends.
And that's Hera Syndulla. Again, reprised voice role for Vanessa Marshall out of Star Wars Rebels. The first time we meet Hera is obviously in that show, that series. And she is the captain of the Phantom and Ghost. Boy, there's so much I can go on and on about Hera Syndulla. So she's the general of the Phoenix Squadron by the end of the Rebels. She's a huge player in the Rebellion as just a fantastic pilot. She has the Ghost crew with her, obviously, between Kanan, Sabine, Chop, Ezra, and Zeb. Thank you.
I thought you were going to lose a line there.
I about was.
I would cover Zeb there.
Yeah. I about was. So, and then she partners with Ahsoka, along with, we run into everybody during Rebels. Leia Organa, Senator Organa, they run into a lot of people.
Hondo. Our
Hondo.
favorite pirate, Hondo.
Hondo, yeah. Ezra trusts a lot of people that he probably shouldn't during that show. Good job, Ezra. Between Hondo and then some other shady characters. I don't want to spoil it for you.
Oh, you can spoil it. That's fine.
But when he meets Maul, it gets to be real interesting. Anyway, so I won't spoil it for anybody else that hasn't watched it yet. But if you have time to catch up on Disney Plus, all the series,
it's on my to-do list.
And Hera is just a heavy player in the early part of the Rebellion. She moves around with the bases that she needs to. She works with Agent Fulcrum, which we find out is. Am I spoiling this for you too? Okay, good.
No,
so it is Ahsoka.
I'm almost through season 2.
Okay, excellent. So it's Ahsoka.
Yes.
So we find out that Fulcrum is Ahsoka, so she's working hand in hand with her. And really, she gives the orders. Everybody goes along with them, and you just see that leadership kind of already forming, where she's like, "This is what we need to do, and this is how we're going to do it." And again, very tactical person. She understands her planet. So she's like, I will show you how to infiltrate what we need to do. And you kind of see that in Rebels a lot, where she's like, this is how we need to address this and how we need to attack this. And like I said earlier, it was really good to see her mother live action. Well, not live action, but live in show, versus any flashbacks or anything else, because you get very little detail about her family life, prior, except outside of the Kalikori, that she talks about with Thrawn.
Well, and all you know too in Rebels is that her and Cham have kind of a fractured, or they have a strained relationship, which you see in Bad Batch. That obviously that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah,
right?
It hasn't happened quite yet, but he already disagrees with what she's doing.
Right,
and
exactly.
The biggest fracture there, and it's just good details for everybody. Like, Cham believes that Hera should spend all of her time protecting Ryloth, because that's his goal. His goal is to defend and protect Ryloth, and he doesn't understand why his daughter doesn't want the same exact thing. And that's a lot of things that parents go through, right? Why don't you want the exact same thing I did? I've done this my whole life. Why don't you like this? So it's also an interesting growth for him in Rebels, dealing with Hera and just growing a little bit with her to understand, like, there are bigger things in the universe.
And if the galaxy isn't free, then Ryloth is never free. That's really kind of the perspective you see, right?
But yeah, so really, really happy we got to see her in the show. Obviously, we saw Cham and a couple other players on Ryloth show back up, which it was fun to see them again. But really, seeing Hera as a young child and kind of connect with Omega, connect with the Bad Batch, and also grow as a character also. We got to see her first piloting experience, which if you've heard some of the piloting commentary in Rebels, you'll know that she is not only an excellent pilot, but she does things out of the ordinary. So some people won't be able to defeat her. One of the things that comes to mind in Rebels was one of the training sequences for Sabine when she goes back to the Imperial Academy, and without spoiling too much, she gets put in an exercise in a flight simulator basically, and they get put up against Hera's ship, and Sabine knows it's Hera's ship because Sabine's on it usually, and they get out of the training exercise because the ship came through and just demolished the whole training exercise because the pilot flew too well to be caught, destroyed, and destroyed the entire fleet because that's how good Hera was. And the captain that's training them was like, "Yep, that is the rebel ship that nobody can catch, basically, and the whole fleet. No one can catch that ship. So we are specifically training for that ship." And it's just amazing. They just created a training exercise around
strictly for the Ghost.
Just for the Ghost.
Well, and we get to see, keeping on the fact that Hera's involved throughout. You have the Ghost making an appearance in Rogue One, at Yavin Base, and then we get the fan service of seeing it in the final act in
Rise of Skywalker. Yep.
And so, and Hera makes an appearance in Squadrons, the video game too. So like, again, you said she's an important piece throughout, and it goes back to same thing with Cham and Ryloth in general, how important that is, and Hera is just another piece.
Yep. Yeah, so great stuff there. Love seeing her in the show. Hope to see more of her at some point, even if they're filling in holes in other series for Disney Plus. How great would it be to see a live action Hera Syndulla? That'd be great. I know we're getting the Ahsoka series later on. Can't wait to see what they do with that. I still hope we get a live action Sabine. Please give us a live action Sabine. Anyway.
Well, the one thing I want to add just before we get off Hera is watching this, I didn't, the French accents of everyone.
On Ryloth.
And how, I was like, I was not expecting a French accent, although it's very Vive la France, Vive la Resistance. The Resistance during World War II, right? And the underground and the freedom fighters and everything like that. And I actually put it out to Twitter because watching Rebels, Hera doesn't have a French accent in Rebels, except for apparently a later episode where it comes out under in a heated discussion with her father. So I was like, did they add that in just for this? And somebody said that the Twi'lek, Ayla Secura, has a French style accent too. So apparently,
we heard her talk a lot in Attack of the Clones. Didn't you hear? Or
that's from
I'm kidding. It's from Clone Wars.
From Clone
I know.
Wars.
Yeah.
But it's just very interesting that they would give them French accents and be such a heavily resistant planet, not only now in the Bad Batch, but also during the Clone Wars and beyond. So that's my little nugget to add on Hera, because I don't know much.
Finish it.
I need to finish
Do it.
I know.
What are you waiting for?
I just have I don't have any free time.
No, it's good. I understand. And a lot of your free time is going towards reading. So we'll get to that hopefully next episode, since we'll have more time next episode. All right. So we'll move on to our collector's hobbies. I mean, boy, just guilty pleasures at this point, right? So this week I did get my Wrecker figure in. He looks good. It's a nice deluxe figure. He's got his Bad Batch helmet.
So we can each look at it at the same time.
Of course, I have two. I mean, don't be surprised, everybody at home. I get two almost everything. But yeah, it's real cool. It's got his very long hunting knife, and then just your typical gun there. His backpack that he wears, and then his 99 helmet with the paint on it. Honestly, as far as a deluxe figure, this is actually kind of weak in my opinion, because it just doesn't. 2 weapons is not unheard of for a Black Series figure. I mean, look at Boba right there, or Darth Maul has an extra face, his double bladed lightsaber, and his binoculars. Like, it's not uncommon for Black Series figures to have multiple accessories in a normal standard box, but he is a little bit of a bigger figure, not really that big. And yeah, but I mean, honestly, he's a cool figure. He looks really good. He's got some good weight to him. Excited to put him with the rest of the Bad Batch. Tech should be on his way shortly, and they did announce Echo finally. So he was not an SDCC exclusive. I really thought he was going to be, but they have announced him in the main line. So really cool stuff.
Have they announced the SDCC exclusive yet?
They did it.
That's next month, isn't it? End of next
Yeah,
month?
they put out a couple of things that they said were going to be HasCon exclusives. They didn't actually announce a SDCC exclusive. So a lot of news out of Hasbro actually last week and the week prior. There was a slip up in one of their interviews this week, which, well, they slipped on the HasLab. They had told us already it was not going to be a vehicle, and my prediction was it was going to be the Rancor. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? I was right. And they did formally announce that it was going to be the Rancor. They haven't given us the levels yet of like what's going to come with him. But I mean, it looks like he's going to be like.
You think there'll be a Return of the Jedi Luke?
We'll see. That's the speculation.
Like an exclusive.
Yeah,
one?
Speculation is him and Malachi. No, Malachi.
His
keeper,
owner,
his keeper. Yeah,
shirtless man.
Yeah, because it's the Rancor's name's Patisi,
Right.
And or Patisa.
Patisa.
And yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see what kind of just extras we're gonna get. Usually, we get a couple figures and some extra accessories. I mean, they already did say it looks like it's gonna be 18 to 20 inches tall.
I bet they give you the pit as the last, like
Oh,
as
boy.
the last
There's
like level,
no way
as
they-
like the last level.
There's no way they give us that pit. Maybe the backdrop.
That's like
Maybe just the one piece.
like something.
I don't
to
see
set
it.
him in.
I don't see it happening.
Because
But
you'll need
maybe.
you need the gate to set up the playset.
Yeah, they'll just.
I mean, I realize it's not a playset.
It's not a playset. You know, they're not gonna give us that. They might give us a bone.
Got a bone to pick with you, Hasbro.
Anyway, so we'll see what they do. I actually didn't look at pricing on it yet. I'm sure it's in the $300 or $400 range. They also just announced Marvel Legends Galactus, which doesn't matter to us. And I'll give a cheap plug for Masters of the Universe. That's releasing on Netflix on Friday. While I'm doing all my other crossover
that's
stuff.
right.
Mark Hamill is voicing Skeletor for all you fans of Mark Hamill's voice. And I did not realize this, but Kevin Conroy is in it also as Merman, I believe. So he voiced the animated Batman versus
Okay.
Mark Hamill's Joker
Oh, and
for almost every
in Batman, like the animated series.
everything.
Okay,
everything Batman the last like 30 years, I feel like, has been Conroy versus Hamill.
Oh, that's cool.
And so like they did both.
Is he
stop.
voicing He-Man?
No, he's voicing
You said
Merman. Yeah,
Merman or something.
He-Man is Wood. I don't actually know. I've never seen anything he's been in.
Okay.
So, but yeah, Kevin Smith's directing that and writing. So really cool stuff there. And yeah, I'm excited for it because they released a new poster today, and maybe yesterday, but I saw it today.
And then you have the Sideshow collectible Boba Fett that you sent us pictures of, the new statue.
Yeah.
Of Boba in the throne room.
They're doing a couple new Book of Boba figures. So they do have a Fennec Shan out, and they do have the Boba sitting on Jabba's throne, and it looks excellent.
So you're going to buy it?
I don't.
You have to add it to your Boba collection.
Stop it. No, I don't have to do anything. I want my wife to stay with me. So, anyway, what about you? What do you have on the collector's
Yeah, the
hobby?
only thing I have to add, and I guess it's a big one, is Lego did release or finally unveil the UCS gunship that was a fan vote middle of last year or early last year. It won over the Nebulan Cruiser and what was the third one? I don't remember. Anyways, it's massive. It's $350. It's roughly 3,300 pieces. Size comparison, it's about as wide as, or it's just under the width of the Millennium Falcon, and it's 2/3 the length of the ISD. So for anybody who builds or collects the giant Star Wars Legos, or Lego, sorry, that kind of gives you a size comparison. But it's for half the price.
How big is it going to be
It's
compared to the ISD?
It's half the length,
Okay.
and it's basically the same width, I think, as the ISD.
Still a really large.
It's massive, and it's half the piece count of the Falcon, and 60% of the piece count for the ISD. But the price per piece is right around 10 cents, which is very reasonable. The biggest complaint for everybody, and I kind of am in that boat, is there's no minifigs. And it's not even just there's no minifigs, it's there's no exclusive minifigs, which
Who do you get with it?
you get Mace, and you get a Phase 1
Oh, the yellow trooper, right?
Clone,
the pilot trooper or whatever
so he's
it is.
a clone captain, but I think they're like, yeah, you can have him be your pilot. And people are like, my clone captain is not my pilot. That's not how that works. And
Also, I need 30 more clones,
Right.
so I can stack them in there.
which I have sitting downstairs, so I'll have plenty of play pieces to go along with it. But
Oh, so you're getting one.
I'm definitely getting one. It launches
Or two.
It drops. I'll start with one.
Okay, there it is.
Start with one. I don't have any place to put it right now, but I will have one because I did vote for it because I did want it. But the thing that I wish we would have gotten was a Phase 2 Commander Cody, which has been one of those asks of Lego Star Wars fans for years at this point. We have plenty of them custom. I actually have a custom P2 Cody, and so that'll work out just fine. But as far as the overall look of the ship, it looks really good. And like I said, it's absolutely massive. So it will make a fine addition to my collection, And Bugatti update, I'm still building it. Struggling to get the spoiler to work out.
I heard Jordy messed up again.
I messed up 4 times, an additional 4 times. I had to take the back end apart 4 different times because the pivot points weren't in the correct position. So finally figured it out. So should have that finished here in the next few
I'm
days.
glad you figured out that Rubik's Cube with directions.
Yeah, but that's all I have for toy news. So.
Excellent. And then you mentioned something about a surprise for me today on the show.
Oh, yes.
I'm really concerned about that because I love surprises.
So I have a couple jokes. So
Oh.
I'm gonna make kind of maybe a mini series about this.
Jokes?
Jokes.
Oh, okay.
So one of the gifts from my dad for my birthday was a Mad magazine, which was it's like a spoof. This particular issue, which is out now, you can get it on your newsstands if you do that. Still get magazines. It spoofs a bunch of sci-fi movies. So there's like a spoof on Star Wars, spoof on Star Trek, spoof, all in comic form. And one of the pages happens to have fun Trivial Pursuit style jokes and questions. So,
oh goodness,
we can play along at home. So I'm going to ask you the questions, and keep in mind, these aren't actual like answers that you would expect.
Oh, good. So I'm going to get them wrong.
Definitely
I can't
going
wait.
to get wrong.
Excellent.
So I'll just do a couple, and we'll see if it's enjoyable, and if people enjoy it, then we'll do it next episode too. So the first question, according to Obi-Wan, what can have a strong influence on the weak-minded?
Well, I'm going to say the Force.
See, that would make sense, but actually, it's Scientology.
Ah, okay. Gosh.
So you see where we're going with this?
Yes, I see it. So,
You see-
yeah, Scientology can have a strong influence on
the
weak-minded.
weak-minded.
Yes, very good.
So this is the realm that we're in for the jokes.
Okay, I can't
Again,
wait to guess.
from Mad Magazine, not our property. Next one, we'll do 3. So second one, why were Luke and Leia hidden at birth, according to Obi-Wan?
I don't even want to give the real correct answer. I just want to give an off-the-wall answer along the lines
Well,
of the children
think
were.
about something as a parent.
Yeah,
Why would you have hidden your children?
they can't stop fighting.
To beat the hospital charges.
Oh. still want the tax credit, though. I don't understand.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. And then let's see.
That's good.
We'll do one more. Yeah, you'll get a kick out of this one just because of what we're surrounded by. The last question for this evening. What did Luke not know the power of, according to Darth Vader?
I'm just gonna go with the Force. You don't know this power.
No, it's not the Force. We were looking for the toy licensees.
Oh yes, that's true power.
So
true ultimate power right there.
So I've got a bunch of them.
Oh
so
yes,
some are better than others.
Yes, no, that was funny though. That was good. I enjoyed that.
So we've got some for future episodes if we want to do that.
That's excellent. All right. Well, as for future episodes, you can always catch us on Anchor, along with Spotify, Apple iTunes, pretty much anywhere you get your podcast now.
And we're on Audible now, too.
Yeah, and we're on Audible. So we are basically everywhere you can find your podcast. Mm-hmm. So check us out there, or you can re-listen to some episodes, or, go back and see what we got right in the Bad Batch theories, or if you want to just take my sentiment and brag on knowing what the HasLab was going to be this year. Mm-hmm. Very excited that it's Rancor, as I'm looking at my Gamorrean guard that I'm going to feed to it when he gets here. Mm-hmm. I will open it, and I will obviously have more than one Rancor. Of course. Anyway, but if you are interested in hitting us up, obviously on the Twitterverse, hit us up there. We are very responsive. At least one of us is. And other than that, until next week,
may the Force be with you.